Marketing Officer, Nashville Convention and Visitors Corporation. And I'll go back to the very beginning of how all this branding came about. It was, gosh, I don't even remember what year it was. We started the Convention and Visitors, we were a bureau at the time, we've changed our name. Started with the strategic planning process. And there were several tracks in that. I mean, one was the new convention center, which, you know, at that time was just a dream. One was a financial track, one was a technology track, and then one was branding. And at the time, you know, Nashville was in an odd position because the theme park had closed and the family market had started disappearing because of that. A lot of advertising dollars had disappeared because Gaylord, we had an agreement with them where they would advertise Nashville within the 250, 300 mile radius, and the Bureau would advertise, you know, nationally and beyond. So when the theme park went away, that money went away, so we started having to close in and reach that more regional market. And we were in an odd position because of that family market disappearing and trying to figure out, you know, who we were as a destination and what Nashville had to offer. So we did this strategic planning process. We had about 150 business leaders and that were involved, and the branding track probably had 30, I guess. And we had several meetings. It was a working group that we had several meetings, and we went round and round with what's Nashville known for, you know, what's our personality, Nashville wore a car, what kind of car would we be, and, you know, just all those exercises that you do. And we had people from healthcare community, education, we had Vanderbilt, professors and physicians, we had lawyers, bankers, arts community, a little bit of everyone, and was represented. And it was real interesting because people in the music industry were like, well, we're more than just music. And then people outside the music industry were, oh, we're known for country music. And then people, well, we're known for more than just country, and we're known for arts. And kind of went round and round. And when you do destination marketing, you have to find what makes you different than other destinations. And so you can be many things. I mean, there are, you know, many things in New York that people could go and do and be attracted to, but you have to find what makes you different. And like Las Vegas, it's gambling. They try to do the family market, it didn't work so well, they go back to gambling. So you have to figure out what's your point of difference. Ours was music. For many years, Nashville had been known as Music City, USA, which really had a country connotation that, you know, it was all about country music and the Grand Ole Opry, and that's great, but we also knew that it was limiting. It was a perception that wasn't necessarily true anymore, that it was just country. You know, a lot of music was being produced out of here that's rock or pop or, you know, anything else. It's the largest songwriting community. So we threw all that out on the table, and what we ended up doing, we followed a book by Dwayne Knapp, and you should get a copy of it. It's called The Brand Mindset. And in the brand mindset, he, you know, you have several steps you have to go through. First one is, what's your brand? So we came around to music as our brand. What's your brand name? We wanted it to be Music City, not USA. We dropped the USA, wanted it to sound more global. And then the next thing to do is write your brand story. So our brand story, after we started writing it, and then we went to a local guy, you probably know him, Robert Orman, and he's had written a lot of the story. So we started putting it all together, you know, and it was pretty evident that music is our foundation, and you know what Nashville's known for and has always been known for. And so we wrote our brand story, and this is a copy of some highlights from it, and then we have the actual story on our website if you want to pull it off. And we start with the Fish Jubilee Singers. And they were the first ones to export music across the world from Nashville. And, you know, and then the R&B movement that was here, and the Jimi Hendrix influence, and then the country, and then through to the rock scene, which is pretty much what all this is, and our documentary is.
So
This is a visual of our brand story 10 years later, which, you know, has evolved. So we wrote the brand story. We're like, we can claim it. We can definitely claim that we're Music City. And the next step was to write a brand promise. And this is our brand promise. And we've had it since that group of meetings that we had. We have never changed it. We go back to it every time we do an ad campaign, or when we did our documentary. We always look back at it, and every word of it is important to us. Probably the most important that we always go back to is authentic. You know, we're authentic, we're unique, we're friendly, we're unpretentious. That's what Nashville's all about. And we never want to present ourselves where it's not authentic, that it's not, you know, it's not fake, it's the real deal. So even when we do creative, we always look back at that.
And this is in 2006?
This, I think it was, no, I think it was 2002. No, it wasn't 2002. This is so hot. I don't know why that keeps running. What is this, 14? Yeah, it was like, when it might be 2004. I want to say it's been like 10 years. You know, the thing that resonated the most with us when we were going through this, and it was really just when branding became a buzzword, and you didn't really even know what it was, and you're trying to, you know, wrap your brain around it. And the most important takeaway that we had is it's not a logo, it's not an ad campaign, it's, you know, what you are, who you are, what you can deliver on, you know, what you promise and what you can deliver on. And so you want something that you can aspire to, but then you can also deliver on. So we knew that Nashville could deliver on Music City, but we also knew that we needed to grow, you know, the amount of music in the city that's available, and the things that visitors would notice when they come into town to make them feel like they were in Music City. So we knew we had our work cut out for us, but it was a great goal, and we knew it was one that we're not ever going to completely achieve it. I mean, there's something to always strive for and add to, and every year we've added and added and added, and I'll give you some examples as we go along. So we wrote our brand story, and then the next thing we did was we came up with this branding toolkit, because we knew that we had to roll it out to the community. And we knew that we had to say, this is what we are responsible for. This is what the city's responsible for. And this is what we want you, community, to do to embrace the brand. So we put together, here it is, this little branding toolkit. And we gave this, and this is an old 45 record box. You know, I speak to a lot of college students. I'm like, you know what this is? And they're like, no. I'm like, come on. How old are you? You're making me feel old. So we gave everybody that we invited to this, this little box. And in it we had things like, well, we did a new video, and you've probably seen it if you looked at our website. It's called Music Calls Us Home. And what we did, we had two local songwriters that had never written together, and they were both known kind of in the pop world, and we had them write a song for us, and we produced this video around it, and it's like a music video. So we got GAC and CMT to run the video for us as a music video, so it's free advertising for us, and I'll show it to you if you want to see it. And then I'll back up. Part of this working group was to go out and pretend like you're visitors. And what do you see? And, you know, what are we missing? And one of the things that we realized we were missing was the connectivity. You know, there's live music a lot of places, but as locals, you know where Bluebird is, you know where Douglas Corner is, but as visitors, you don't really know those places. So we knew we had to do a better job of awareness. So we created the live music venue program. And there's a sign out in our lobby. It's the guitar picks that are around the city. So you have to have live music in your establishment 4 days a week, and you get the sign in front of your business. And then at that time, we did a map, we did a brochure, then we added the website, and now we have an app. It's a great app, and you guys should download it. It's called Nashville Live Music Guide. It's free. It'll tell you where all the music is the next 14 days. So as a visitor, if you're coming in town, next week, or you're in town right now, you can look and see what band's playing where. It makes it real handy. So that was one thing that came out of it. Another thing that came out of it, and it was something that we asked the city to do, were the boxes around town that have music coming out of them. Those are the boxes that generate the stoplights. And so we figured out a way, working with Public Works, to put music in those boxes. Then we wrapped them, with the creative that we have. And so when you're walking by the Symphony Hall, there's classical music. You're walking by the Hall of Fame, there's country music. And there's on several corners, we have several boxes now.
Hello.
Would you like to take over? I'm on camera.
You're doing good.
Glover?
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you
That's
too.
fun. Nice to see you. Butch.
Hi, Colleen.
You're in the right seat.
Yeah.
She's in the hot seat.
In the hot
Is somebody
seat.
sitting here?
She was.
Was, okay.
Now we've got
They
to
moved
switch.
me.
And I'm going to mail over one of those to you too.
Okay. I'll go get some of my cards.
It's so nice to finally meet you in a sit down and not at a ribbon cutting or some celebratory event.
Those are my least favorite.
Or
Uh-huh.
see you on the news.
Oh yeah. Or travel south or wherever you decide you're going to lay your hat.
Yeah.
Okay, let me think of where we were.
Yeah, any way I could trouble you to at least get next
Get
to
over
Oh,
here.
we're broadcasting, that's
same,
right.
yeah, same.
Squeeze
Just pull the chair out, get both of you guys.
You were talking
Little
about
tag team.
classical music, Skirmahorn.
This is perfect.
Oh yeah,
here,
the music boxes. We're
The
talking about
brand
the music
wrap
boxes.
on the music boxes.
Yeah. And so, as we were rolling this out, we knew that we had to do everything that we could to promote the brand, embrace the brand. So it was little things that end up being, very visible things like music in the airport, or the announcements over the speakers in the airport that it's, hey, this is Tim McGraw.
This is Tim
welcome
McGraw.
to- Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Which I was stuck in the airport last week and I was like, okay, we need some new ones.
Did you mention the kind of have a strategic plan, what's the experience, so that we went out?
Yeah, yeah, that we went out.
Found out
and-
we didn't really have a good experience?
Yeah, and that we needed to connect. That's, we talked about the live music venue program. When visitors call us, the music on hold. We have artists that will, say, this is Josh Turner, please hold, an assistant will be with you in a moment. Those kind of things. We revamped our website. We revamped our creative so that all the imagery would be representative of what you would think Music City, not just country music and not anything else. One thing I failed to mention was when we were going through this, I can't get that heat to turn off. It keeps running and we're like burning up in here. When we were going through this and we were talking about, I was telling you about destination marketing and finding your point of difference. People kept saying, oh, but we're arts and we're healthcare and we're this and we're that. And we had the president of the Predators at the time was on that committee, branding committee. And he said, and people were like, well, we're music and more. We're this and more. And everybody wants to, throw in the more. And he goes, what really makes Nashville different, or can make Nashville different, is music in more. And we were like, you know what? I think you're onto something. So then we started promoting, Frist Center, put music in the art gallery, which they took off with Frist Fridays, and it was a huge success. They tricked people to get to the art gallery, and and now they love Friston. Music in the zoo, the ad campaigns that the zoo does, music in the hotels. And so it really started resonating with all of our members in the community and made a lot of sense. And it gave them some good ideas and concrete examples of how to embrace the brand and how to incorporate the brand into their businesses. Everything we do from merchandise, I brought some examples for you guys. Our website, which we've since even redone it a second time. Our ads, everything. We always go back to that brand promise.
What are your geographic parameters? Where do you stop? What is the region? So you've got the brand of Music City. You've got the meeting planners coming in and incorporating the brand in their collateral materials and training materials. You've got businesses every month that are drawn as a champion. What are the geographic parameters for the Nashville, for your organization? How
For
far
our
would
one,
you
I
go?
thought you meant branding. I'm like, well, it's everywhere. Well, ours is Davidson County. 'Cause
Okay.
our budget comes from the Davidson County hotel tax.
Mhm. What percentage of that do you receive, and is it a dedicated tax or you have to fight every year for it?
There's 6% hotel tax in Davidson County. We get 2 of the 6. It's dedicated by state law for marketing. But the city does a national RFP every 5 years. So they make us bid for our contract, which is actually has ended up working pretty good.
Good. So with that 2% dedicated, is there a location where we would find what these dollars look like?
In what regard?
Well, in one part of the website, we were just sharing earlier that we've all kind of been as deep into the website as we can get and watched the videos and checked out your bio and some YouTube opportunities. It talks about getting to a point of $5 billion in entertainment tourism revenue.
That's visitor spending. That is a study done by the Department of Commerce. About 30 states participate by county, and Davidson County represents right at 29% of the visitor spending in the state of Tennessee. So almost a third comes from one county.
Of all 95 counties.
Yes. Shocked us. Really, last September was the first time anybody put it in that context. 4.65 billion in 2012. We think we'll hit, when the 2013 numbers come out, we think we'll see 5 billion. Because 13 was crazy good.
Yes.
So then within the state, who are your direct competitors?
Don't
Would it
make
be-
me answer that.
It's a question we have to ask.
On one hand, the politically correct answer would be everybody. If a visitor's going to Dixon, they're not coming here, theoretically. On the other hand, we don't see that much competition from the state. So I live by the credo that everything and everybody is competition. So I don't want to think, we don't think we're better than, but in the scheme of, are we competing with maybe sometimes Memphis, but internationally they feed each other. Convention-wise, there's nobody in the state that really touches what we do. That's more facilities than anything else. And then domestic leisure, families are going to go to Pigeon Forge. So we know that, and that's not who we go after. And hopefully you get some stop off to and from. But
Well, I was downtown for a meeting of the United Way at the Bridgestone Arena. And I was coming out, it was about 7 o'clock at night. Number one, I felt completely safe, so I always try to dissuade that. But there was a couple from France, and they were standing by the bus stop right outside of Bridgestone, and they were trying to figure out the route. They were staying up at Lowe's on West End. And the wife wanted to go to New York. She had one more day on their vacation. They wanted to go to New York. She said, I really want some fine, boutiques and upscale shopping, and I don't really see any of that in Nashville. And of course I told them about Opryland and some others, as close as I could get. And I said, but what are you looking to experience here? And they didn't speak a lot of English. So I tried to use my rudimentary French, and all I could do was quote a third-grade poem, but they applauded anyway. But they said that the experience they were looking for here was more than T-shirts and honky-tonks, in a way that they put it. And they said it's more of a vibe that we've been getting. It's what we feel when we're around downtown. So I wanted to get them on the bus, and at the time I had no idea we'd be doing this, so I didn't engage any further. But they talked about this vibe that they felt. And Butch, we had, number one, congratulations on one of the most admired CEOs.
Oh, thank you.
That was
It's
pretty
overhyped.
cool.
It's not.
Well, it's what you do, and hopefully the Business Journal will get advertisers to help support and so on, but it is a big deal in the scheme of things. And we were just talking, and we've learned a lot of kind of where this started, and we've looked at the video, and in your acceptance, when you're talking to Travel South, you were talking about how you took risks, especially with developing this video and the dollars and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So we were kind of curious as to what kind of risks you might have taken, not just with the video, but in getting the brand to where it is now.
Which day?
Yeah.
First you have to have good support. And then you gotta have some trust by those people. And, if Deanna talked about, I know she did, our strategic plan in 2002 or 3. We guided it. We didn't tell people what to say or do, but we had key like-minded people chairing committees. We needed their ideas and thoughts, but we didn't need to reinvent the wheel. So the risk, one, putting people out there to open their minds. And so there's risk they could destroy the potential. Then it's keeping them at 30,000 feet and translating it into doable. We kind of knew if we got a green light on the brand, we knew where and how to take it. And I think that's a culmination of the message and the brand and the vibe and the diversity and all of it. But and Deanna might be better equipped to answer the question. It's maybe vision goes with that. So getting others to help shape the vision, but you kind of have to have it. And then the courage to go, you can't just do what's on paper. And it goes way back, Deanna's right when you say when.
Which day?
The Music City Bowl. So it's 1996. And nobody will come. It's too cold. This is a joke. Okay. In my mind, there are other. If Memphis and Shreveport can do this, we can do it and do it better. So 16 years later, we're now there's the top BCS, whatever the new version is, and then there's a group of bowls right below that. And we're in that. So let's say there are 40 bowls and we're in the top 15 to 20 now. And we're in a good position for the next 6 years. Well, had we listened to the critics, we would have tanked it. Make no sense. The Titans, we put the first meeting together. We had to overcome the local community and quiet going, they're playing us, it's a waste of time. We gotta keep this alive, knowing it's bigger than us. We can't get this done, but we can convince people that it's worth talking to Houston. The theme park closed. We're done, we're dead. Life is over. And we're like, no, we gotta change. We gotta have a 3-year plan. We've got to go from being a summer family to a year-round adult destination. The former mayor is saying, I want you to take over July 4th. That was punishment. It was probably as much as maybe he thought he could get rid of me.
Which mayor was that at the
Purcell.
time?
So we saw it as a chance to really take the brand and go, we can create an event. And in our minds, DC, Boston, New York, that's who we emulate. And I'd be the first to admit, both for July 4th and New Year's Eve, we will never catch New York.
I'm glad it wasn't me. I was like,
That is so strange.
what year was that? The first year that you took over the?
July 4th, would have been 03 or 04?
No, this was our 8th. Wasn't it right? Or 7th?
No.
Gosh, I can't remember. 9?
So 9 years ago in 13.
We had 4 on television.
04. And we televised it and we lost money. But we said, we got a dead period. And it's maybe a great example. We built the event and did pretty good. We used it to book some summer conventions that needed and wanted some entertainment. Now the hotels don't want the conventions. It stands on its own as a 2 or 3 day national and international event. So we get the PR, we get the visitor spending, we get the local awareness, we get to promote our brand. So you have the symphony, so last year, symphony orchestra, Kev Mo, Band Perry. You can't really get any more diverse on stage than that. To the point where the hotels go do something for New Year's Eve. Same thing. Nobody will come. It's too cold. What do you think? Well, the constituents are asking for it. If we do it right, if we invest, and that's part of that risk is I'm gonna have to spend some money and nobody's gonna understand why. And it's gonna take us 2 or 3 years to get there. And I'm going, why are you spending a couple $100,000? Because we think this can work. So in year 5, there's 85,000 people. And CNN's here. And we sold more rooms than the bowl.
One of the top 5 places in the world for
American Express Black Card magazine last summer did a summer feature. I didn't even know there was a magazine for Black Card holders. So, feature on July 4th around the country. And this article was called Light Up the Night. And Nashville was the cover photograph.
Wow.
And so we were included in things to do. And I don't know what the level is for a Black Card holder, but I know there's no limit. So you can take that card and go buy whatever you want, anywhere in the world.
So it's a different
I
market.
figure that's a pretty good audience
Yeah,
that
that's
never was
yeah.
looking at or talking to that. So the risk is, what can this be? Can we get to that result before we get hung? And are you willing to take that chance to get to the finish line? This year I can go back, we have an event fund, and I can go to the committee, we administer it, but we don't make the decisions. We need more money for July 4th. And I can now say, if you don't help us, we gotta shrink it. We can't eat this anymore. And they're like, whatever you want, whatever you need. So baby steps, credibility, track record has allowed us, if Deanna talked about the film, that not in the budget, not in the plan, not anything we've ever done. So out of our comfort zone.
Mhm. Well, you've actually, with what you've just described, have described a leader. And of course, that's what we're all trying to hone in our leadership skills by working on what we're working on right now.
Very good.
Well, I would say definitely leaders have to be
Risk takers, visionary.
but
Yeah.
also accountable.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't just go,
Yeah.
wasn't
Right.
me, when it doesn't work.
Well, and you have to believe in what you're doing too. I mean, he's definitely a true
Yeah, that
believer.
passion is no
It's-
doubt.
Yeah, it's
No doubt.
It's passion.
There are a lot of strong CEOs in this town, so for you to be named one of the best,
Mhm.
that's, I think you shouldn't downplay it.
They should just gotten rid of
Humble.
institution.
Yeah.
Oh, that
most
offended me
admired
more than
CEO.
anything. I don't want to be compared to, the whole nonprofit thing. It's like, no, those days are over.
Uh-huh.
You're either good or you're not
Uh-huh.
good. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We have to raise money. We have to reach sales goals. We have to,
Yep.
produce results, or we're gone.
So I've got a short story, kind of similar to yours. We were at, name escapes me, it's a nice beef place over in Opryland. Not in the place, it's a little off from, on the strip, so to speak, past Bob Evans, around the corner a little bit. So me and my wife are sitting in the waiting area, and we're sitting
Restaurant, or?
Yes, restaurant, next to a couple. Great restaurant too, I can't forget the name. Sitting next to a couple, so they had an accent, so they were talking to us, and so they said we're from Newfoundland, and my wife, she didn't understand them, but I was able to pick up. They said Newfoundland, they're from way,
Hey.
up. So they said, well, so you guys, are you from Detroit?
Ah, well, you must be.
You're right.
Obviously.
So,
That would have been my guess.
You're right. So I say that to say, to go into my question about, you're on a lot of boards, one of them is the Museum for African American Art and Culture. And you're talking about expanding and diversifying the brand. How have you done that, and what's the future for that? Making Nashville appear to people in Newfoundland as a
maybe
destination.
so y'all get
Yeah.
a real sense that it's not all rosy. We were a founding board member of that project. There's probably 3 of us that have been hanging on its entire duration, because it's too important to let go. Too important to our product mix, too important to the brand. But back in that window, and Deanna was a big part of it, we created a Jazz, Blues, and Heritage Festival. Labor Day weekend was slow. We were working on our brand, and there had been some young African American guys that had this idea and started and couldn't do it. We liked it enough. We said, look, let us help you, and then we took it over. Well, 3 years, we failed miserably. And the whole point was to showcase the local talent that wasn't country. So jazz, blues, gospel. And we booked headliners, as we say, to trick people in them. So we had Robert Cray, we had Al Jarreau, we had David Sanborn, we had Peter Frampton. Peter Frampton did an instrumental
Brian.
record.
What was his name?
From Take 6. We couldn't sell. We lost our butts, and we don't mind losing money if we're filling rooms, because that's part of our mission. So if we're getting the media coverage and getting the visitation, then we'll spend the money. But that's an example of one of the things we really pushed long and hard on. This is the first year we haven't done it yet. We'll get to it. We also started a soul series during Black History Month. So we partnered with B.B. King's. And 4 Thursday nights in February, we would do a jazz and blues show, showcasing local talent. Last year we upped it and just did one event, did it at Fontanelle, and had Kev Moe and friends, and it was a fundraiser for Fisk Jubilee Singers. Kevmo's schedule didn't work for us this February. That's why we haven't done it yet, but we'll bring it back. So we look to those opportunities that they have to be legitimate. Everything we do is authentic. We're not going to fabricate the story. It's got to make sense. So we have a soul series. We tried a festival. We use the Fisk Jubilee Singers as our calling card regularly. This film opens with them. And it's a good example there where we hired a director from out of town because he wanted fresh eyes. He said, we're going to go, first film is going to be Fisk Jubilee Singers. And they went, well, we'll put a star with them. They were disappointed. And we were like, no, you're not going to put a star with them. They are the star, and that's where the story starts. Now, when they were done, they were blown away by the talent, the story, the eloquence of the director and the students. So they went, oh, we get it. But here's that out-of-towner. Are you from Detroit?
Mm-hmm.
No, we need to start with Keith Urban.
Mm-hmm.
No, we need to start in the beginning. For us, the story starts with Fisk Jubilee Singers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, then it evolves through the R&B scene and Jimi Hendrix and gospel music today. We support the Stellar Awards. They've been here for 8 years. Just moved from the Opry House to Municipal Auditorium. Same thing. You're important. We want you. You should be doing this award show from here, not Chicago.
Or
So we have
Detroit.
that. So there's, or Detroit. They haven't pursued Detroit yet, but they're headquartered in Chicago. So it's, use your resources, use the tangible assets to tell the story and keep telling it and don't deviate from it. And I'll go back to the film. The film was motivated as much from our popularity to take a step back and remind everybody how long we've been doing it. We're not a flash in the pan.
Mm-hmm.
We're not an overnight success. We're not a one-trick pony. In the TV show, looking at the poster, people begin to think, oh, your success is coming from that. To remind people, they would not have named the show Birmingham or Detroit or Charlotte. There's no sizzle. They picked Nashville because we were at a really good spot and had a good story to tell. Now it's helping, but we even made them watch our documentary. And they go, okay, this is how we get it. It made more sense to them. So it's always going back. I'll finish with the mayor loved the New York Times saying we're the it city.
Mm-hmm.
We hated it.
Oh, yeah.
We've still banner. I'm like, that's an insult. To us, it implies temporary, overnight success. Who's next? Oh, no, we're here to stay. We've earned this. This has been a planned, thoughtful, long journey, not a TV show showed up now. Look at us. And so politicians love rankings.
Mm-hmm.
We'll use them. We're not stupid. But
Carl uses
especially
that in
it's-
every speech everywhere he
Yeah.
goes. I think he used it when he came to talk to us about Nashville being the it city and so on.
Yeah.
But that's a good, I didn't think of it that way,
Yeah.
as temporary. It is.
Grand Avenue, even before the article, had a campaign to boost confidence in Nashville, the it city, and they asked me to do a video and a photo shoot. I said no, I don't want to be anywhere near that campaign because that is completely opposite of our authentic positioning statement.
So you have a lot of passion. I'm a native, so I definitely have a lot of passion for Nashville. But we researched that you're born in Mississippi, but have spent a lot of time in other places. How did you develop such passion for this brand in the city?
That's a good question.
Mhm.
Part of it's my personality. I don't like to
He
lose.
loves it.
It's competition.
I went to Vanderbilt,
Yeah.
and hindsight is great. I left here and said, this is the only inland city I'll ever live in, thinking I'll never be back. But it had a soul then, when there was nothing here. The city had a soul, and I just, somehow I saw it, knew it. I wasn't a Vanderbilt bubble kid. I was live off campus, go find places and experience the city. And I said, man, I didn't think we could uncover it. She's done a phenomenal job. But it was like, if we can ever peel back the layers, well, this city's got heart and soul. Everybody judges it on hee-haw instead of judging it on what the authenticity. We will always go back to that word in, and we've never wavered. I think that consistency.
Yeah. It was like, I worked DMO and was the executive director for Freeport Merchant Association. So we had 120 retail outlets, LOB. This was 20 years ago, mind you. And we had people from Germany, the UK, saying, you know, how do you replicate that New England village? We couldn't. Authenticity was the story. It still is today. LOB is the anchor, but the authenticity of this is what it was all about. What is your visitation rate with leisure tourists, leisure travelers versus, or in addition to meetings, conventions, and so on?
We just ran that 43% meetings, 32.
Yeah.
These are ballpark.
Are those
leisure
reports we might be able to use for our study?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have some research.
And then the balance is business transient.
And then what's the conversion rate from a day tripper to an overnight? What does that dollar expenditure look like?
We have that. I'll tell you what, we barely look at day trippers. We don't. I won't say they don't.
Well, they're not
count.
heads and beds, that's for sure.
Yeah, they don't. We get them, we appreciate them, but we don't chase them. Because the return on the investment.
Right.
It's like $100 from a day tripper and $300 for a convention here. So I'd rather. And then I get the convention here, it's 3 days, so it's $1,000 coming out of one person versus 100.
You mentioned the branding committee. Who are some of the key players when you guys were envisioning this from the start, and who are some of the key players now as you guys move forward?
Now.
Jeff Lipscomb is a big part of it. He's president, CEO of GS&F, Gish Sherwood, Friends Ad Agency. Jack Diller, who's president of Predators at the time. Who else is on there? Erica Wallem Nichols at Bluebird Cafe. Yeah, it won't stop running, so we turned it down to get cool.
Actually, it does feel like it's
It
blowing
feels
cold
better.
now. There you go.
Let's see who else. Bob Patterson was a big part of that. He's still on our board. He was our chair last year, but he's an attorney in town with what's his firm? Bolt.
It was Bolt Cummings.
Yeah, what's it
It's
called
got a
now? I forget what it's
different
called.
name.
Who else was part of that? That Brian Kagan. Remember him? He's gone now.
Marketing guy.
Yeah, he had a good marketing mind.
I'm trying to think if Vanderbilt had a seat at the table.
Joel. Remember him?
From the medical.
Yeah. He was.
So we tried to pick healthcare, education, the law, people that were resistant and reluctant to embrace the brand, because it hurts us recruiting professors or partners or employees. The brand hurts, and that was probably the biggest obstacle. Don't let it be. Let's figure out how to use it. You're using it wrong, and we need to separate ourselves from Kansas City and St. Louis and Charlotte and Indy, and this could be an asset done properly. And yeah, if you
We knew we had a
dropping
problem.
USA was, I don't know if you talked about that.
Yeah, we did.
That was, we didn't put that up for discussion. So we kind of said, music is our brand, Music City is our brand name. Now let's discuss how to make it work. So the we knew we'd have to give somewhere, and we advocated it. But if we dropped the USA, that kind of took the country connotation. Now, being smart people, occasionally, we also knew that we couldn't offend the country music piece of it. Invaluable. So we made it more about, one, we want to take some stereotypes off, but we also want to be the only music city in the world. So why you want to limit yourself to USA? So there was an underlying motivation for us about hee-haw, but the overarching message was, don't think domestic, think worldwide. We can own this. And now it's crazy.
A couple of weeks ago, I went to the Tony Bennett concert, and from the stage he says, Nashville is so creative, it's such a great city, you're so lucky to live in the music city of the world.
Oh, yeah. Did you capture that? Will he give a testimonial?
We tweeted it out right away.
Can we
We're
quote you on that?
So Branson's an afterthought now.
Yeah.
Right?
And we're like,
But a lot of work, a lot of focus, a lot of persistence. And did you talk
and
about
getting the
that?
communities and support and involvement.
This came out of the first strategic plan, but it was also a tangible way to say, like Jimi Hendrix wanted to play here, and the Fisk Jubilee Singers were the first, and Steve Winwood and Peter Frampton and Michael McDonald and Kirk Whalum. But same thing. First media story was LA has 2,500 stars and Nashville has 6. Thanks, guys.
Gotta start somewhere.
Who's gonna believe this?
But
well,
it's-
now we have 60 and
It's a great marketing tool. It's a great PR tool. I mean, we always get international coverage when we do our ceremonies. And
yeah, People magazine had a picture of Keith and Nicole that went out worldwide. Rolling Stone had a picture of the Kings of Leon. So it's done what we wanted. We're not finished with it. It should live in perpetuity. But there was nothing but doubters out of the gate. How's this ever going to work? We don't have anything. And there's
It's
not a
perhaps-
day that I don't walk through that park and see a visitor taking a picture, walking in.
The first time we moved here, we have 5 children, they're all grown, and some country, some rock, some rap, some everything. And we took them to the Country Music Hall of Fame for the first time. And then they're like, country, really, Mom? I says, no. I said, look, it's so much more than this. So we went through, and of course there was a lot of things that they found interesting. But then we went across and we did the park, and they looked at some stars. I'm like, oh, cool, I wanna get my picture here, I wanna get my picture here. You know, it was really great. And my dad, ever since I moved here, answers the phone, he's in Southwest Georgia, and he doesn't say hello anymore, with my name being Catherine. He sings right away, this is how he answers, Nashville, cat, and then he starts talking. I mean, it is unbelievable.
We'll take that.
Yeah, the lovin' spoonful or something like that, but that, I swear to God, every time, it's never hello anymore.
Well, my granddad, he tells me about the Jefferson Street of old, Aretha Franklin,
Huge.
everybody had to come through there. Ray Charles, all these people. So, do you think the museum or the ballpark is going to probably bring some of that
It's
back?
huge for that. I have some friends that they've already bought a building on Jefferson Street and have some plans. Jefferson Street, it needed an anchor. And the museum was taking too long. The ballpark and the retail on that end coming off the interstate, huge. And resurrecting the whole Sulphur-Dell legacy becomes really important to us. Now's a good time to invest in Jefferson Street.
That's good. Who do you market to? Like primary, secondary, tertiary, what does that look like? How much of your marketing is done internationally?
More now. We're starting to do more international. Actually, we're leaving next week for London. We're doing a program with CMA, Country Music Association. They're doing a big concert series, Country to Country is what it's called. And so we're
Oh, cool.
inviting media, the UK media. So we'll have about 40 journalists go with us and have meet and greets with artists, and we'll do a lot of research around the events that are there and see who's coming to Nashville and what's motivating them to come to Nashville, and give away a trip as incentive to get them to fill out the surveys for us. So it'll be a good little program we haven't done before.
Deanna got our film airing in Australia.
Oh, great.
It's airing for 6 months. Actually, he just emailed me back yesterday and said it's doing great. The ratings are incredible. They've aired it 8 times already.
And even from that, we went into the UK and Australia and gave away a trip to Nashville to the Kings of Leon concert. And it was come see them play at home, and 25 words or less. Why you want to go to Nashville to see the Kings concert in their hometown. And I had great fun.
Fiona, the winner, just sent an email yesterday. How much fun she had, how great.
Now, if that's
I mean,
not
we
an
had,
English name.
Fiona, yeah.
Australian.
Very Australian. So we had about almost 6,000 entries in Australia and about 5,500 in the UK for it. So that, I mean, it didn't cost us, much at all.
That's awesome.
To put that together. We also have an international program with New Orleans and Atlanta, because we know when international visitors come, they tend to go to more than one destination. So it makes sense for us to partner with those 2 cities. Atlanta has the largest airport. New Orleans has, the same kind of vibe and music. We've been doing that, 15 years? 16 years, something like that.
So do you have a formal co-marketing strategy?
It's
Yeah,
called
we're
Rhythms of the
incorporated.
South. We used to do a trade show, and then we ended up partnering with Travel South, and that's what is now the Travel South International Showcase.
Okay.
And we're one of their main partners to do that and bring in about 100 tour operators and media from all over the world. But it's a great program. There's a lot of tour operators that offer packages that are called Rhythms of the South, and so they'll do the 3-city itinerary.
Very cool. How about travel writers? So I'm sure you must get a whole bunch of ad equivalency return when you host travel writers. Do you find that the hotels here, when I was in Albany, Georgia, the hotels didn't understand the value of even offering discount, let alone free, and the bed and breakfast
Well, they
and so on?
understand the value, but now they're so full that it's difficult to get the rooms like we could.
So the occupancy
But
rate-
they do
Greed has replaced
understand.
marketing currently.
Yeah.
And so
Interesting.
we're just in a little.
Can I quote you on that?
They're doing
Sure.
really,
has
really
replaced
well.
marketing.
We've got it recorded.
Yeah.
That's good.
I don't-
Interesting.
Yeah, but the
It'll come
publicity that
around.
we've been able to get, from the writers we've hosted, we host 4 tours, press tours, a year, and then 1, sometimes 2 international press tours. Those are domestic, and we'll take 12, 15 writers around all over the city, show good variety of attractions and restaurants and activities, and then now the turnaround is so quick because of the bloggers and online that you used to have to wait 3, 4, 6 months to get a story, and now sometimes it's while they're here, sometimes it's the day they leave. So it really works well for us. And then we host 100 of just individual sites.
How do you guys find them? Do you work with like a Geiger, or do you do?
Work with Geiger.
Yeah, we've
Debbie?
had Geiger forever, but then we'll go on sales trips, Chicago, New York,
Yep.
Atlanta,
Yep.
do our own, and then field some inquiries where somebody wants to come in.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to run and do a conference call, but
Let us say thank you.
there's one thing I don't want to mention. I'm looking at, I don't think we did it on here, but one more piece to,
Oh, we probably
you
have
can
one in
explain
here.
it.
Yeah. Here.
We've really started using, the artists that we have relationships with in our ads in the last year and a half. And actually, the King's manager is on our board. And he also has Emmylou Harris, who is just a good, offset there, those differences. But he goes, do you think you could put a picture of Emmylou's latest album on the ad and tell people to pick it up? And we're like, well, damn. Yeah, that's a really good idea. So now here the Van Perry's in this ad, and it's from July 4th last year. But now we have a picture of their record and say, pick up their latest record. So with the Kings of Leon or the Black Keys. Now there's value, and it just helps build the relationship and makes it kind of more real for us. But that was that, you know, as you continue to push out there, you never know where that, he was looking to say, so I can explain to Emmylou, there's something in it for her. And now we offer it to anybody we're asking.
And that helps because like things like next week when we're in London and they're in concert and we need a meet and greet for these 40 journalists, oh yeah, we'll drop by. You know, it just helps create that relationship and that, you know.
So we're not just using them.
Well, 2 more questions. Yes, thank you. And we want to know
Can
if
she
you
answer them,
guys
or-
might be available
Yeah, that's.
after
a good
this.
one. Yeah.
If we have
Sure.
further questions on this.
Now you understand why I
Okay.
couldn't answer them on email.
Couldn't
Good,
email
yes,
on
good
that.
to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Good to meet
Thanks. You're in good
Thanks.
hands.
And this is just, you know, some promotional
Do
material.
we get
if you
to
wanna-
take all this with us?
Yeah, you can take whatever you want.
Awesome.
Take copies.
Awesome sauce. We were looking at the intercepts study and the results and kind of, you know, the percentage from a few years ago to now, last year, this year, early this year. Have you guys ever done a man on the street with just the question of what is the Music City brand to you? Do you have those results somewhere?
We haven't done man on the street with that. I don't think. I'll have to look back and see. But we every 3-4 years we'll do a new branding survey, and it asks questions, a lot of questions that are in our brand promise. You know, do you think Nashville's unique? Do you think it's authentic? Does Music City represent Nashville well? You know, questions like that. And the first time we did it, it was right after we had finished rolling out our brand, and it was probably about a year later, and we brought in that Dwayne Knapp that wrote the book, and we brought him in to speak, and he said, have you tested it? Have you done some research to find out if it's working? And we're like, well, no, we haven't. That's a good idea. So we did it, and honestly, we were surprised at how good, how strong it was. I mean, it was already in the 90% range of, do you think of Nashville as Music City, whatever the exact question was. And then, you know, each time we've done it, it has grown even more. So we can share that with you.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Are you a part of Mayor Dean's think tank on this brand? I think we saw a website about he developed a think tank that wanted to see how the brand or Nashville was furthering. You
No,
not heard of
Butch
that?
might be, but
Okay.
no. I didn't know that.
Nashville Scene, I think is where it's
That's interesting.
2010, so it's probably old.
Yeah, yeah. He created the Music Council, which we're a part of.
Okay.
And that was good for Nashville. I mean, I think that says a lot when you have a music council coming out of your mayor's office.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're pushing up against that hour, so again, we appreciate taking
Absolutely.
the time with us.
Yeah,
Well,
if you have
I'm
any
not
follow-up
done
questions,
yet.
just email and
I know.
yeah, and we can.
Great,
get
thank you
that
very
back
much.
to
We
you.
want more, but we gotta respect your
Thanks,
time. So
thank
hopefully
you.
we'll get
We
another
want
time.
more. But I want to ask you about state. We haven't really talked about government, just maybe as our closing, unless you guys have another,
No.
specifically with Susan Whitaker with the commission, tourism commission and so on. What does that partnership look like? Because of course, at the state level, sometimes they'll have grants available, they'll push one thing or another, but it's up to individual CVCs or CVBs to really get it out there. How supportive is the state with Nashville and the brand of Music City, and what does that relationship look like?
It's always been good. I would say now in the last couple of years it's even stronger because there has been, I don't know if you're aware, but there has been a statewide Tennessee Tourism Committee Coalition kind of thing that Colin Reed